In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to make up your own paper gasket in case you run into the same situation we've just had whereby Mercedes don't actually make the gasket anymore. We're going to be showing you how you can dramatically improve the look of your car by sending off your fuel rails and clamps to get zinc plated, and how to refurbish the accelerator pedal mechanism. Come out here to this place at the back of Beyond, outside of Bristol, called S&T, to pick up our hopefully zinc plated fuel rails. These are the fuel rails for our M110 engine, which have just come back from the zinc platers, and these are the brackets here. They have a minimum order of £75 plus VAT, so we've sent off a whole load of other stuff from our parts car to get zinc plated, which we'll be selling on eBay. Before we can put our injector fuel rail back together, we need to sort out this fitting here. We're going to take this home, get rid of all the old paint, and we're going to have to remake a new gasket here because they don't make this gasket anymore. Just going to try popping off that snap ring there without losing it, and that should allow us to get this whole fitting off. It looks like whoever's been in here before just put RTV on here and then squeezed it together rather than making up or buying the proper gasket, but we'll be doing the job properly. First of all, we're just going to hold a piece of paper over and then rub lightly with a pencil. That will give us the outline. We're going to cut that out roughly, and then we're going to put this onto the gasket paper here. We're using this Flexoid oil-resistant jointing paper here. Now, what I actually want from this template here is just the position of the holes and the large hole, because what we'll do is we will cut this oversized, then go down to the garage, hold it on, and then draw around it when it's actually on to get these outside edges. We are just very carefully using a hole punch to punch those holes out. Thankfully, our holes are exactly in the right place, and now we can just draw around this here and we should get a perfect template for our gasket. When it comes to cutting the hole in your gasket, you might be lucky and get away with using a standard hole punch. Alternatively, you can try and cut holes by hand using a very sharp hobby knife, or you can actually get gasket hole making kits, which if you're only going to make one or two gaskets is probably not worthwhile. So in our particular case, to cut this hole here, we are just going to cut a standard piece of copper pipe, and we're then going to sharpen that with an angle grinder and then just tap it onto there like so and cut the hole out that way. Just sharpen that edge there with an angle grinder. In theory, all we have to do is tap that onto our gasket, then that should cut a perfect hole. You can either hit this with a rubber mallet if you're planning on using it again, or you can use a heavier steel hammer. And in theory, when I lift that up, you should see a perfect hole. I just need to tap this a little bit more on this edge. Now, it helps if you do it on a solid surface. Wood is not the greatest surface to do it on. Metal or a piece of slate or something that isn't going to break would be better. Eventually you will get to that stage there. We have pretty much a perfect round gasket. Now we're just going to trim this off to size. We've roughly put this on the car and drawn around it, but I'm just going to measure the distances just in case the car isn't actually square. I wouldn't say that's 100% perfect, but it's an awful lot better than just putting RTV in there and hoping for the best. We're just down at the garage to test fit that gasket, and I'm not saying that is perfect, but you know what? It is pretty darn close. I think while we're here, we'll go one step further and take this home and clean it up. The way this comes off, it just pops off the fitting down here, just using a small screwdriver, and then that's spring loaded into there and should just come out. I think I'm going to take this to pieces here and get all of these bits zinc plated. I'm going to do this in the kitchen so that these circlips don't spring off and get lost. This bit here is nice and easy to get off. You just come straight off, but these bits all are held on by circlips. Before we can take this to the platers, we have to take out all the bushings. There's two plastic bushings at the bottom here. This bit here, now that we've taken that top circlip off, will just come straight off, hopefully. But there'll be bushings under there as well. There's another plastic bushing on there, and then there'll be another bushing inside here. There's always 2 plastic bushings on each side. To get these circlips off, you just need a small screwdriver, twisted, and then they should just come off. These little rollers here are still available. Unfortunately, I think you can only get them in packs of 3. They are still available from Mercedes, and we have ordered some because what happens over time is they wear down unless you start to get slop in your acceleration. So again, there'll be a small circlip on there, and then this should just come off. And I think that's pretty much that disassembled. You've got to make sure you get everything off before you give this to the zinc platers, otherwise they'll just plate everything as is. I'm going to send this long rod here off to the platers as well. Now I cannot for the life of me find on any diagram what is supposed to be in there. I'm sure it's supposed to be a bush of some description, but it's not shown clearly on any diagram. So if anybody knows the answer to that, please do let me know. That's just held on by a circlip. Once you've got that circlip off, that just comes out like that. And I believe that this fitting is supposed to be held in place like this here. There are 2 plastic bushings on the end of here, or at least there should be. Don't forget to take those off. There's one on the other end, I believe. There is a minimum order size of £75 at the platers, so we might as well get this piece plated as well, hopefully without dropping that bolt that I just did. Meanwhile, all our rods and fittings have come back from the chrome platers. Cost £75 plus VAT to do this. Had I been clever, I would have done this and the injector rails all at the same time. We're back down at the garage and we're going to put this whole accelerator pedal linkage back together. You've got to remember to put some grease on all of these balls here. On this section here, there are 2 plastic washers, one here and one before the spring here, and then there is a C-clip on there, and all of these big holes here have bushings in them. We ended up dropping one of these circlips in the engine bay, never to be seen again. If you make that mistake and you want to buy some from Mercedes, that's the part number there. They only come in packs of 10. It is a good idea to replace these little runners that go on there. Unfortunately, they only come in packs of 3. That's the part number there. This has all been lubricated and put back together, ready to go back on the car. Incidentally, these rubber bits here are quite safe to zinc plate, so we've sent it off to the zinc plater and it doesn't damage it at all. You can also get springs, washers, nuts, etc. zinc plated as well. We're going to leave this video here. I've just fitted this back loosely because we do have to take that off again to get the injectors back in there. Currently with Mr. Injector, he starts work on them on Monday, so we should get those back in a couple of weeks. But I hope you'll agree that zinc plating these fixtures here makes the whole engine bay just look a million times better.